never rests.
Counting careless in the sky. What a thrilling time to be alive.
What is up, everybody? Sunday night, December 17th. National Signing Day week is here. This is the Georgia Show. Palmer Toms, Rusty Mansell, Jake Roos, and we got a lot to talk about. It's been an eventful weekend. We were talking about that last night.
It certainly has been an eventful weekend, Palmer. It's been an eventful weekend indeed.
Yeah. So on all fronts, it has been. So we'll get started here with something that went down Thursday night and into Friday. Jamon Dumas-Johnson enters the transfer portal, and Smile Munden headed back to Athens for another season. Just taking a look at that linebacker room as it comes into form for 2024. Rusty, what are your initial thoughts on those two third-year guys making their decisions for 2024?
I understand both. I understand for Smile Munden to come back, and he was the one probably at the first of the season I thought this is it. It's the last time you'll see this guy play at Georgia. Got kind of banged up all year, had some ins and outs, and I think when you look at Smile coming back, I think it makes sense because he has a very high ceiling. Like Smile Munden could, with a really good year, he could sneak into that late first because he's got that speed and athleticism and ability to cover and a rush to passer and those types of things. So had he had the same season he had last year and been healthy, I don't think we're having this conversation. I think Smile Munden, you saw the last time, the last days for him. But for Pop Johnson, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, I see it too. And I think when you look at the discussion for him, it's where he is right now after he got hurt. And you have these two freshman linebackers, and you understand from his perspective that he knows those are two talented kids. I'm not saying at all that he was scared of them. I would never say that because that's not how that dude's wired. But I think Jamon Dumas-Johnson understands that at minimum, he's going to be sharing some snaps with some of those kids. And that's just the way it is. And then you got hurt. And when you got hurt, it opened the door for C.J. Allen. And I don't think people really have seen the upside of Raylan Wilson and what he's going to bring to the table as well, too. So I think Pop was like, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere where I'm the guy. I'm going to be the guy. And, I'm not going to have to sit here and deal with these two guys. And it might be the deepest room in America as far as 1 through 5 or 6, to be honest with you, just to get to it. So I understand both of them. I see why. It doesn't mean Jamon Dumas-Johnson is not going to be good somewhere else. But these two kids, these two young guys, I think all three of us agree that they're going to push some folks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I think with both of those guys, I think as we were having this conversation early in the season, we probably, before the year, we probably wouldn't have expected to be, much of a decision for Jamon and Smile, that both of them, probably would have been off to the NFL. And I think Georgia probably thought that when they signed 3 linebackers in this past class, and on top of a really good group that was already there. You had Xavier Sori, who's now entered the portal. You had EJ Lightsey, who they were excited about. He's entered the portal. And that's not because those aren't good players. It's because there are tons of good players in this room. Well, they probably also didn't plan on signing 3 inside linebackers in this class to, with the assumption that thinking that both those guys could be playing college football next year.
Sori, Lightsey, and Jamon Dumas-Johnson would know the pulse of that room better than anybody.
Sure.
They're there every day. They see the film. They practice with them. Every single day they go, you know what? This room's pretty damn deep. So I think you look at those 3 guys leaving. Those are 3 damn good football players now. Don't get me wrong. There's people fighting over those kids.
Yeah.
But those 2 kids, making that room depth is insane.
To me also too. I mean, he's not on campus yet, right? But he's headed here. If you're a guy looking at Justin Williams coming down the pipe, and you're looking at a guy like Chris Cole, who has a ceiling like he has. Chris Jones, we don't even know how good he can be, given that he had the surgery this year. But I mean, those three guys coming in this freshman class as well are, I get it, man. I understand where you're coming from, because 2 freshmen last year took a lot of snaps. There's a chance that a couple of freshmen this year could take a lot of snaps.
And
Very
let's
similar to Jermaine Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson didn't mean Jermaine Johnson went a damn good football. Jermaine Johnson went in the first round.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson could not get on the field at Georgia.
Yeah.
Yep. Because you were looking at an outside linebacker room at the time that had Azeez Ojulari and Adam Anderson and Nolan Smith and Jermaine. And, you know, that's, you know, Azeez went third round, you know, and Nolan went first round. Jermaine went first round. And we all know
Adam Anderson would have been a first round.
Yeah. We all know the kind of talent that Adam Anderson had. So, you know, it's, and, you know, Roos, you mentioned the young guys that are coming in the class of 24. Let's not forget, and the 2 linebackers that played this year, let's not forget Troy Bowles either. I mean, he was a top 10 linebacker in the country.
Sure.
For 2 straight seasons, Georgia is going to bring in 3 of the top 10 linebackers in the country.
Oh, it's disgusting what Glenn Schumann's doing. I mean, if you're an inside linebackers coach in America right now, there's probably no one you hate more than Glenn Schumann.
Well, and that's on the heels of signing, you know, a guy like Jalen Walker. And you know, CJ Washington was a really good football player before the injury.
Washington, yes, absolutely. So tragic it didn't work out for him. But that guy, I said at that time when they signed those 2 guys, I told Bill Shanks this very frequently. I said, I think that could be Georgia's greatest inside linebacker duo ever, between Jalen Walker and CJ Washington. Since that time, they just keep up in the bar, man. I mean, they really keep pushing it. Justin Williams, to me, if you go look at the tape and you look at the competition, you understand what he's going against. I think Justin Williams is maybe the most exciting linebacker that Georgia has maybe ever signed. And that's saying a lot, because there's guys like Roquan Smith and Nakobe Dean who've come through here in recent years, not to mention, you know, you take it back and back and back. But the film on that guy says that this is something special and also different.
Top 10 in his class academically.
Yes. Yeah.
And not to insult my school, he's not going to Pepperell. He's not going to school. he didn't go to high school with 750 kids. You know what I mean? He might have 750 kids in his graduating class. So
right.
That top 10 is a little different. And you get a kid like that academically, and that polished. And you know, everybody I talk to talks about, and I hate to do, and by the way, he is on campus. If you remember, if you're a subscriber to DawgsHQ, I was updated when those kids got in town. So he's there. He worked out with the team. It's done deal. So number 1 linebacker in America for everybody. In
a consensus. Yes. That's, to me, that's the big thing, right? Like he and Ellis Robinson, that is, you don't see that a lot. There's not a lot of times in this industry where everybody agrees on what they see. Justin Williams and Ellis Robinson, those 2 dudes, and that's pretty telling.
And by the way, if you're a subscriber to DawgsHQ, you also know that Ellis Robinson got in town today at 2:00. He is officially now a Georgia Bulldog.
Well, and with both those guys, they've got a huge opportunity ahead of them over the next couple of weeks, you know, as this team prepares for the Orange Bowl, you know, to go through practice and, you know, to get their feet wet. And then, you know, as that turns to the spring, they'll be ready to roll when spring practice starts. And you look at both of those position groups, inside linebackers we're talking about, you know, that there's obviously turnover there, and there's a lot of talent that's there. That doesn't mean that a guy like Justin Williams can't come in and make an impact. Same thing with the cornerback room. You're probably looking at Kamari Lassiter leaving for the NFL. You know, you've had a couple of guys hit the transfer portal, and AJ Harris and Allen Green. You know, and obviously, you know, you've got some talented players there that are going to be sticking around in Julian Humphrey and Daniel Harris, and, you know, obviously a returning starter in Dalen Everett. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be opportunity in that room. And, you know, in the secondary in general, I mean, guys, talented, Georgia will find a way to get talented football players on the football field. And, If Tyke Smith leaves, then there's an opening at star. If Javon Bullard were to leave, there's an opening at safety. Maybe you end up moving Janelle Aguero to safety. Maybe he ends up playing star. There's a lot of possibilities and a lot of exciting possibilities with these young players that are getting on
it's the number it's the number one sell for Georgia right now. I think if you're a high school kid, right, and you're looking at what do I want? Now NIL focus, probably not. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of winning a lot, being competing against top tier guys, you're going to have that opportunity. And if you're the guy, if you're that talented when you're young, there's going to be an opportunity for you to get on the field. Georgia's not holding back on that. CJ Allen made that clear this year, man. I mean, even once everybody was ready to go in the inside linebacker room, he continued to receive a very fair amount of the snaps. Freshmen can play at Georgia, which is very, very unique, I think, at a program of this caliber.
And speaking of that cornerback position, Georgia makes a hire for its cornerbacks coach from USC to UGA, Dante Williams. You guys were all over this yesterday. Rusty, just what is Georgia getting in Dante Williams?
Well, Roos broke the story, so I'm going to let him step to the table there.
Elite recruiter. That's really the first and most important thing about this hire. I understand the people out there. There's a little bit of hand wringing in terms of the USC defense and what it is and what it was. I get that. I understand what people are saying. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. Kirby, Will Muschamp, Dante Williams, they're going to figure out how to coach the corners up. Okay. But
a little different culture on the defense at Georgia.
There maybe Georgia's focusing a little more slightly on the defense.
A little more emphasis on stops at Georgia than it is USC on defense. Right. I can assure you not to worry about that.
But the guy is an elite recruiter. There's no question about it. Has brought in guy after guy after guy to USC. And just has a great track record all along. To me, that's one of those situations where you need that, right? I mean, with Fran, you lost such an incredible recruiter.
And we're seeing that now.
It was amazing. He was amazing at it. I mean, he is such an integral part of this 2024 class for Georgia. And also huge credit to Fran Brown for the job he's done, A, at Syracuse and what he's done early on there, but B, for continuing to push these guys like Ellis Robinson to say, hey, stick with what you had planned to do. Come to Georgia, right?
And remember this. Nobody knew who Fran Brown was for Kirby Smart hired.
Oh my God. I remember when that news broke, I was like,
no issue to him, but no offense to Fran Brown, but give Kirby Smart a little credit on that hire.
Well, I didn't know, I'll be honest, I didn't know Charlton Warren. I didn't really know Jamal Adai. He's made some interesting hires at this position. To me, Dante Williams easily the most outside of Mel Tucker in terms of secondary, the most established name that they brought in, and a guy with incredible recruiting prowess, also a huge foothold in the West Coast.
But out of left field, nonetheless. I mean, this wasn't, and we said that, from the get-go with this defensive backs group and this coaching hire, this vacancy, that Kirby, as much as we can put a hot board together and feel good about who, these coaching candidates are, Kirby has done this a lot.
Didn't it, both of you, I'm gonna put this to both of you, didn't it not make so much sense? All the stars had lined up for Doug Belk.
100%.
I thought it was a slam dunk, no question. That's where it was going. It made all the sense in the world. They go pull this off, and it's like, what in the world? I mean, Rusty, you and I were communicating yesterday. That name popped up, and I was like, you got to be shitting me. They're going to go out and get this guy. Like I said, a proven commodity, a great recruiter on both sides of the ball too. Zach Branch, one of those Dante Williams guys. You want to talk about a dude, man. I mean, he knows how to close the big deals. And that's something that Kirby and company sorely needed after losing Fran Brown, who's also very capable of doing that.
Yep.
No doubt. Well, as we talk about closing the deals, Georgia with National Signing Day coming up this week. But before we get to that, Roos, tell us about our friends at GameTime.
Hey, Game Time. Listen, super intuitive app. They got it all over at Game Time, right? Tickets for whatever you need to go to. I don't know why you'd ever go to a Falcons game again, to be honest with you.
What's the price on those? What's the price on those tickets?
You can probably get them on. They should be $2. There's no
You
question.
can reach out to Game Time, and you can actually play in that game.
Would you like to coach the Falcons? Game Time might be able to help you with that as well. But no, Game Time. Look, what I love about it is exactly what Palmer's showing you right now on the screen. You can get the view from your seat. You're going to buy that ticket. You're going to be able to see it where you're going to be able to view it from. And that's what's cool about Game Time, in my opinion. They've got tickets to everything, super reasonably priced on their stuff. Also, too, it's very quick. I used it this summer to go get some baseball tickets. I got them within 15, 20 minutes. I bought them about an hour and a half before the game. They were in my inbox like that. So Game Time hooks it up. They do a great job with it, and we love them. We have used their stuff. This is not one of those situations where we're just promoting something we don't know anything about. This is Jake Rowe and I have both used Game Time. I think you guys have as well. GameTime.co. You can use promo code DAWGS. That'll take $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms and conditions do apply. So obviously you got to meet a threshold. Certainly you can't use that on Falcons tickets. They would be paying you money to take the Falcons tickets. But use code DAWGS, DAWGS at GameTime.co for $20 off your first purchase. Go get you some Orange Bowl tickets, man. $88. That's a pretty good deal right there. I like that. So go enjoy yourself in Miami, have a fun time, watch the Dogs, and use Game Time to hook yourself up with those tickets.
All right, guys. It is Sunday. Wednesday is National Signing Day. Just recruiting updates. It feels like majority of the hay is in the barn for Georgia in this class of 2024. Obviously, there is the looming news of Dylan Raiola and where he's at. And
looming is a very good way to put that.
Exactly. That is something that's been very well covered. So be sure to come check us out at DawgsHQ.
Weird, man. Like Roosh, we've been through like World War III's. You know what I mean? Like we've been through bottles of liquor. We've been through no sleep for 4
Well, if you need proof of the bottles of liquor, just check out the Bark After Dark on Monday.
Here's Georgia on Sunday night, the #1 class in the country. Little bit of drama. They're going to lose Dylan Raiola, which we expect him to go to Nebraska.
And I will say this too, Rusty. We have done the math on this. Georgia will retain the #1 class, even losing Dylan Raiola, which is incredible to think about.
Yeah. So, unless something crazy happens, Georgia's going to finish industry-wide with the #1 recruiting class in the country, unless somebody has one of those crazy days, and it very well could, but they're going to finish top 2 regardless.
27 commits.
Yeah, 27 commits, and it's just sitting here, and it's
they may need to rethink their NIL strategy or their NLI strategy.
Well, they're losing people in the portal. Then we know it's kind of situations on every one of them. They're going to add some people in the portal, but it's so anticlimactic. You know what I mean? Like this is really a tribute to like Kirby Smart and his staff that you're heading into a week like this with such a stronghold. You know what I mean? And I know people want to, one more splash commit, and they're maybe take a swing at a couple of people. But if Georgia finishes with what we have them now on paper without, Raiola, it's a hell of a class. It's one of those classes that you go back and look in a few years, and you're like, my God, that class they put together there was one of those because they had
that OL group so special, so strong,
premium position. You know what I mean? So
I said on the board the other day, if there weren't 2 guys, and I'm talking about just like worst case scenario, 2 guys who turned into very special, high level contributors from that group, I would be shocked, right? You got 6 coming in this group, so you got your pick, right? Yeah. There could be more than that, certainly. But I think, to get 2 in a class is huge, right? Yeah. If you can get 2 big contributors, it's kind of, but you're exactly right, Rusty. Like, it's almost anticlimactic, and it's almost been since the end of June.
Yeah.
Or July, I'm sorry. Like since the end of July,
They went on that run in July. It was nuts. Remember, they got all those kids.
it was ridiculous. It was every day.
4th of July week. I was like, dude, can y'all quit?
Yeah.
Stop getting kids, man.
And it was majority that offensive line.
I'm trying to see my family.
Yes. I mean, like I've been call Stacey Searle and say, hey, dude, stop. Put the brakes on, dog.
But I mean, it feels like it was this way last year too. That we were talking about an anticlimactic, signing day, and it's not that there. I mean, I feel like last year there were at least a couple of decisions that we were, monitoring, and
Justice Haynes late was the one that really
right.
I was at another company at the time, but Justice Haynes late was there. There was some traction with that.
I feel like there was somebody that committed.
That thing got real. They held on to Daniel Harris there late too.
Yeah. Daniel Harris was a late. He had decommitted and then recommitted.
Yep.
Well, and
State deal.
Yeah, sure.
And yet
Merriweather came out of nowhere there very late.
Kyron Jones kind of monitoring that. Chris Peel with a late addition.
That was a super late one for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year, I mean, will they get some surprises? That's not out of the question. I mean, you can never write that off. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. We got 3 days, buddy. So yeah, I mean, it might as well be 4 years between now and Wednesday.
Well, here's the thing. If you're a member of DawgsHQ, it's easy. Those kids that are here practicing, that's it. Once you step onto the field and you do a team run, you're in. That's considered signed. So those guys are in. So you look at that, and Palmer, maybe you can update that sometime on the board, the next 24 hours. But that's 16 or 17 guys they're Georgia Bulldogs. Yep. So now you're down to about 9 or 10 to see what they're going to sign on. See if they're going to finish their paperwork in like we anticipate on Wednesday. So. But they're in. If they're there, they're in. I don't know if people quite understand that. You're in. Once you work out, that's your LOI. You're locked in.
Is there anyone that we're not anticipating on signing on Wednesday? I mean, again, there's a long time between now and Wednesday, and some kid could say that they aren't going to sign. There are a couple that we know aren't going to be early enrollees. I mean, as you look at that running back room with 3 guys committed, only one of those is going to be an early enrollee. That's Chauncey Bowens. Nate Frazier and Dwight Phillips are going to run track. But we're still anticipating. Unless I'm wrong, I think that we're anticipating all the signatures in.
Yeah. So that's it. Let's don't beat around the bush. The decision that everybody's waiting on is Carson Beck.
Sure.
That's the one. So we
got a little bit of news there today. That he is planning on playing in the Orange Bowl. I saw a comment.
He has been practicing. So we confirmed he had been practicing, which tells you my opinion he was going to play in the Orange Bowl.
And it doesn't come as a surprise either way. I mean, even if he was going to end up leaving and had already made that decision, you want that extra, game of experience when you've only started 13. So, to me, there was never any doubt that he was going to be playing in the Orange Bowl.
Jake Rose said it best, though. Carson Beck was never going to announce his intentions at an academy. I'm sorry. That wasn't going to. That just wasn't what was going.
Unless they're hitting new NIL deal.
Yeah, right. That's what right. I don't think anybody should be concerned about that. He was non-committal at Academy Sports. I don't.
Where did Malcolm Mitchell and Jay Rome commit tonight? We were all down at the steak Japanese place in
yeah.
I've seen it done weirder places. That was wild. So.
All right, boys. Well, let's wrap this show up with a quick Sunday stock report. Dog stocks. I will get us started because I have a feeling if I don't take this one, Rusty might, based off of his tweet. But
damn it, James Cook.
James Cook, stock up James Cook, and you know what? I'll take stock up Zamir White in there as well. Those two guys, both of them find the end zone this week. Zamir White, first career touchdown. James has had a couple, but had by far his biggest day today. Over 200 yards combined, 2 touchdowns. Those two guys, Each of them went for 20-plus touches. Each of them had a score. James had 221 yards rushing and receiving. Zamir had 85 in what I believe was his first career start. Both those teams get big wins, and so Rusty and I can share this stock up on that 2021 Georgia running back room. Bruce?
Oh, for me, it's I'm going to give credit to Kirby Smart. Stock up on keeping the magic alive, man. Dante Williams coming out of left field in the hardest way possible. A name that you could not, if you had suggested that to me on Friday, I'd be like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. That doesn't even make sense. Why would they do that? And then sure enough, Saturday, that's what we're breaking at DawgsHQ is they bring in the USC cornerbacks coach. The guy knows how to create intrigue. He knows how to keep this stuff under wraps, which is hard to do. I mean, did anybody have a whisper of that a week ago? I don't think so. Like I said, 24 hours prior, 1 hour prior to the news, I don't know that I would have believed it. So stock up for Kirby Smart and company, man, for keeping the intrigue alive. They're keeping it interesting. There's no question about it. And stock up on them for bringing in an elite recruiter. A guy, like I said, Fran Brown, a tremendous guy in that scenario. Just one of the best, and a guy that I think Georgia will certainly miss in that regard. And that was going to be the case all along. But to replace him with a guy like this is it feels like a home run. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's TBD, right? I mean, it's still early. We're just in the afterglow of it. But given his background and what he's been able to do so far, feels like a really great hire for Georgia. So stock up on that new DB hire. I'm pretty high on it.
Always interesting. And this week always is. So nowhere else that you would want to be other than DawgsHQ. Come check us out. We got $1 for 1 month and half off for the year. Half off an annual subscription with the signing day special. Just like I said, an exciting time to be around. Come check us out over at the Dog Walk message board. Rusty will have plenty to share this week. Always does. Roos?
My coffee cup is empty, and that was, it's 8:30. I got to refill if I'm going to get ready for notes tomorrow. So,
oh boy, it's about to be one. Definitely you'll want to be tuned in. We got Bark After Dark tomorrow coming with Joe Wyndon. Very excited about that one. A great dude, a guy who's going to give you some incredible insight into scouting. One of those services that you don't even know. This is one of those guys that functions within the college football world that you don't know his name, but you should, because he's
every college coach.
Everybody knows Joe Wyndon.
Every college coach in the SEC picks up the phone when he calls.
Absolutely. He's on a first name basis with all of them. There's no question. So that's going to be a cool episode. And then Wednesday, we're going to be loaded up. Make sure you subscribe to the TBD channel.
TBD on the rest of the week, but we will certainly keep you all up to date. Without a doubt, this is going to be the place to be for this week. So for this episode of The Georgia Show, I'm Palmer Toms, Jake Roos, Rusty Mansell. We appreciate you chiming in.